Greetings and welcome to Cookery of Mason Storm. Today we are making ourselves some ramen, which is one of my favorite meals. More specifically, we are making a chicken-based ramen broth. To begin, I have some hot peppers. I only ended up using one of these, which was the Carolina Reaper. More on that later. But do not use Carolina Reaper. Use something more mild like a jalapeno. I've got 2 chunks of ginger here of appropriate sizes, several cloves of garlic, as well as an onion that I cut in half, and of course chicken carcass. Okay, let's begin by blanching our chicken carcass. Blanching is a simple process. We simply take our chicken carcass, we cover it with cold water, and then we proceed to increase the temperature inside the vessel until it comes to a boil. So we turn on the heat of the stove, and then we wait a little while till it starts boiling. Now the skim, the stuff that floats to the top, those little particles and whatnot, we're simply going to take our wooden spoon of filtering and begin to extract the top remnants. Apparently this is supposed to help with the bitterness of the end product. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I read that this is the way to do it, so this is the way that I did it. I'm not going to break with tradition on this one. I just want some good, delicious broth. So once that's all taken care of, I think it's already to a boil, we're simply going to strain this off, and then we're going to wait for this to cool because we need to separate all the meat and skin, whatever was left from your chicken carcass that wasn't just the bone. We want to make a bone broth out of this, so we're going to do that now after it cools off, because this is scorching hot right now. So either pour cold water on it or wait patiently. I opted for the waiting patiently method, and it amazes me how much meat was still on this carcass at the end. I gotta really work on my technique as far as carving chickens go. I'm much more familiar with doing turkeys instead of chickens. I think it's better value. You get more meat on a turkey, and the bones, it's not all that different. Okay, anyway, so now we got our bones inside of our vessel, and we're simply going to add water. And this is actually our making the broth process. So we add in our ingredients. I'm not adding the hot pepper now because that would make it too hot. So we're going to put this on the stove. We're going for kind of a rumbling, rolling boil, which is not quite this aggressive, but in the next clip, which will be here now, more aggressive than this. So some sort in the middle ground there. And any time that you're looking at this, you're going to want to skim off stuff as well. Any of that foamy mixture on top. Now we're going to be cooking this with our little simmer for about an hour or so, and then we're going to add our hot pepper. Now the Carolina Reaper, this thing was insanely hot, and this is like the wash your hands before you go to the bathroom and then you're still on fire for days hot. Like, it's just ridiculous. So use something else. I'm just adding a little bit of better than bouillon here. I don't think I had enough bones to make this amount of stock. Now when you're making like a stock or soup base type of thing like this, give it a try every now and then and see where it is. I'm adding vinegar to reduce the amount of spice from the Carolina Reaper, and it actually did a surprisingly good job. Just going to give it the occasional stir. Some things you may want to add. Sometimes you need to add salt, and every broth that you make is going to be different because all the bones you use are going to be different, so it's kind of hard to have a routine that way. This is kind of something you work on and build up to. You just keep tasting the soup stock until you get it just the way you want it. And here we are. I'm just draining it off now. It's been 2 hours of cooking, and I'm just going to disregard all the solid particles here. Now something you can do as well is skim this end product, maybe even run it through cheesecloth if you're crazy. Put it in the fridge, let it cool off, and maybe some sediments on the top, you can skim that off as well, but I didn't really have any issues with that. So now let's go about making some ramen. So we simply use this stock, then we bring it to a boil at a high temperature, and then we need to cook our noodles till, well, whatever degree you like to cook them to. I like kind of a little bit more of an al dente. So once I get it up to temperature, I throw in my noodles, set my timer for 3 minutes. I've made a video on making noodles for ramen before, and they're way better than the store-bought ones. So I might make an updated video on that at some point in time, but not today because I spent hours making this broth. I thought it was pretty good, but there's always something, right? You can't really make everything, but the more stuff you make, the better it's going to usually be in the end, especially if you fine tune it as you make it. So I hope this helps. This is going to be my, I think this is my second video on making a ramen broth. This turned out a lot better than my first one, and always learning, still trying to find new ways to improve it. Bonito flakes are something that you can add to the broth to make it really good as well. Really depends on what type of ramen broth you want to make, but if you just want to try, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, let me know, and I'll probably make a follow-up video, because I'm always in a pursuit of the best ramen around. And until next time, stay awesome.